People usually flock in awe over NBA teams solely for their players rather than for their teams. Players like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, James Harden, all those players are very good players, but people don't really care about the teams that they're on, whether they're winning or they're winning championships, anything like that. And if you look at teams like Larry Bird's Celtics, Hakeem Olajuwon's Rockets, you'll notice that they won't go down in the history books as just average teams. They'll go down as some of the greatest of all time because they've formed dynasties in their respected era. I've been a basketball player ever since I was about 5 years old, and I've been watching basketball ever since that same age. I've watched the Milwaukee Bucks 2006-2007 season where they were virtually terrible to where they are now, almost very good competitors for an NBA championship in coming years. And yeah, I've also seen San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan and Miami Heat with Bosh, Wade, and LeBron James. All those teams I've watched form before my very eyes, and I know what it takes to make a very good team. Today I'm going to be talking about the top three teams of all time, NBA teams of all time based on championships and regular season. And those three teams are Larry Bird's Celtics, Magic Johnson's Lakers, and Michael Jordan's Bulls. So to start us off, we got the Boston Celtics, and it's very fitting that they're the first on the list because in 1946 they were one of the very first teams to give us talent in actual professional basketball, and they continue that legacy all throughout current times with Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Kyrie Irving, those kind of players. They were such a well-rounded and fundamental team, and I think that's what makes them great. And the one reason why they're one of the greatest of all time is because they were incredible seasons, and they were virtually unstoppable in their era. In 1985 to 86 season, they won 67 games, lost 15, which is a very good record with a 77% win percentage. The second reason I think they're one of the greatest of all time is because their starting five was virtually harmonious. They had Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. Larry Bird averaged 25.8 points per game. Kevin McHale had 21.3, and Robert Parrish was a lockdown defender. According to Leibowitz's most dominant NBA seasons, published in August 12th, 2015, these are where I got stats from of Larry Bird's 25.8 point game, Kevin McHale's 21.3. The third reason I think they're one of the greatest of all time is because they were facing fierce competition with players like Magic Johnson and Hakeem Olajuwon's Rockets. And to top a team like the Boston Celtics, you really have to put something together that's very special, and that's exactly what Magic Johnson did. Johnson's Lakers were pretty much what started the Lakers' success and why they're such a prominent name now in the NBA. Is not just because they're in Los Angeles and they have LeBron James. It's because Magic Johnson pretty much started the uprising of the Los Angeles Lakers. One reason they're one of the greatest of all time is because they won 5 championships while he was there, while Magic led the league in points per game and assists. They had a 70% win percentage, according to statistics from Lamance's article, 10 Greatest NBA Teams, published October 3rd, 2017. And the second reason is because I think they still hold some of the greatest records of all time, which are they have the highest field goal percentage with 54.5%, most steals in a quarter with 11, 31.4 assists per game, which is still the highest of all time. All three of these have not been broken yet, and I think that's very telling of what kind of team they were and what they practiced on their teams. The third reason I think they're one of the greatest of all time is because they had amazing other talents. Magic Johnson wasn't just the only player. If Magic got hurt on the bench, he had Kareem and James Worthy who could take over games in their own right. And I think that's very important when you're building a dynasty. Michael Jordan's Bulls are not godlike. If you call them godlike, that is pretty much an understatement. They had teams fearing them when they walked in the building from the late 1980s to all through the 90s. There was no more dominant trio than Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, and Dennis Rodman. Michael Jordan averaged 30.1 points per game and had multiple MVPs, along with Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, who also had accolades such as Defensive Player of the Year and most rebounds in a season with Dennis Rodman. Second reason is because they had 6 NBA championships under their belt with a win percentage of 85%, and they had the greatest record of all time with 73-10, which has recently been broken by the Golden State Warriors 2018. In a report by Esker in 2005, Performance When It Counts, He said, Jordan was able to elevate his game at the moment the Bulls needed, and I think this was very telling from when they played the Utah Jazz in Game 6 and Michael Jordan hit a game winner to seal them a championship. The third reason is because they shaped pretty much modern basketball. Teams are now trying to be like the Bulls and be like Mike. That's where the slogan comes from, like Mike. It's because they really want to form that dynasty, form that trio, and have 5 guys out there that can take over a game themselves. In conclusion, a lot of the today I took you through the 3 best teams of all time, which were Larry Bird's Celtics, Magic Johnson's Lakers, and Michael Jordan's Bulls. And in conclusion, we don't know. There could be a team brewing before our very eyes, and I just want everybody out there to make sure that they focus on the teams rather than the players, and notice that there is a team out there that's going to be greater than the Chicago Bulls, Lakers, Celtics, but you can't forget about these 3 staples, because if you forget about them, you forget about basketball. Thank you. The speaker has had a knack for the ocean ever since she was 5 years old. I barely knew how to tie my shoes at that age, so it's inspiring to see how that passion has led her to dive deeper into marine biology as a career choice. She's taken biology courses and tests that's propelled her dreams into a reality. Who would have thought that a documentary when she was 5 years old about jellyfish would have led her to talk to us today about mechanisms of evolution? Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Kristen Schwenk.